Now, we're supposed to be a nation of animal lovers, but we've got a funny way of demonstrating the extent to which we love animals. It seems that the victims of lockdown haven't only had two legs. I completely understand why many early in lockdown got a dog, a cat or another pet when faced with the prospect of months of solitude at home. With all of your work meetings happening via computer, it was nice to have the company of a canine, and the need to walk a dog 2 or 3 times a day was a welcome excuse to get out of the house and, of course, to get your daily exercise without breaking the rules. Life at home, working on your own terms, of course, often in your pyjamas with a lap dog on your lap, seemed like the shape of things to come. But that was then and this is now. By hook or by crook, we're slowly getting back to normal. Meetings are happening face to face and the office beckons for millions, at least for a few days of the week. So what happens to the cat, the dog, the gerbil, the hamster, the parrot, the tarantula that you bought last year during lockdown? All too often, it's a tale of neglect and rejection. The Daily Mail have reported movingly on this in their paper today. The charity Many Tears, based near Llanelli in Carmarthenshire in South Wales, for example, recently took in 172 adult dogs and puppies, adding to the 3,500 they rescue every year. These figures are expected to spiral in the months to come. If we love animals so much, we must do better. When we acquire a pet, we have to understand that it's a 10, 15 or 20-year commitment, longer than most marriages. My kids will be long out of college and getting on with their lives when I'm still caring for our family cat, Harry. That wonderful chap has given us 5 years of joy already, but he may have another 15 in his locker. Here's hoping. What a lovely boy. So we have to think about whether we have the time and indeed accommodation for a pet in our lives. What about the budget for all of those vet bills, pet food, medicine, and if it comes to it, dog walking services? None of us seem to struggle with the initial cost of buying a pet, but it's the ongoing cost years down the line which gives us a change of heart. It wasn't the dog or cat's idea to be purchased, but it becomes his or her problem when you've decided you want out. Where does the pet go? He's out on his ear, out on the street, and if the vet deems it necessary, he's out for the count and put to sleep. Thousands of unwanted animals are euthanized every year. Add to that our affection for more exotic and luxurious breeds is feeding a criminal market in dogs in particular, which is why so many dogs are stolen every day. That's before you get to the myriad health problems suffered by these little creatures as a result of inbreeding, so that their tail can be the right length, their ears the right shape, and their eyes the right colour. All too often, just a few months or years into their lives, these animals have been so genetically modified, some of them can barely walk, barely breathe, or barely see. If we love animals so much, we can do better. So think twice before you take the leap. It's easier and less cruel to divorce another human being than one of God's creatures. At least a human divorce is a mutual decision. Animals are a blessing, a gift to humanity and one that will keep on giving. But only if we understand they are a gift that doesn't come with a receipt to be taken back to the shop when we've had second thoughts. Pets come with a strict no returns policy. A dog is not a kettle, a toaster or a flat screen telly. It's incredibly hard to rehouse unwanted and pre-owned pets. So if you do decide that you're going to acquire a pet, consider rescuing a rescue. They've all got a story to tell. They're survivors. Their hearts are as big as their sad eyes, and they've got so much to give. Think carefully about where you collect your canine or where you go to get your pussy. That's a good life lesson. The shelter is the place to go if you can, because these places, staffed often by volunteers, are full, and the animals need love. See if you can find a catatonic cat, a dodgy Dalmatian, a manky mongrel, or a Shih Tzu in a shit state. It could be second time lucky for these wonderful creatures, and first time lucky for you. A pet is for life, not just for lockdown. Now, the Chancellor Rishi Sunak is drawing up plans to cut taxes, according to today's Times. Mr. Sunak is preparing to cut income tax by 2p in the pound or to slash VAT rates before the next election, the paper has learned. The Chancellor has apparently told officials to draw up detailed plans to reduce the tax burden, with a third option of cutting inheritance tax also under consideration. Under the proposals seen by the Times, the 45 pence higher rate of income tax could be scrapped. Basic rate payers would be up to 750 quid better off each year, and VAT on green energy could be reduced. Now, I've got to say, as the Prime Minister gets bounced from one crisis to another, Rishi Sunak at number 11 seems to be our only hope. This young Chancellor is the grown-up in the room. I've always said that lockdowns should not have happened, but if you're going to make people stay at home, you've got to compensate them. And the furlough scheme, with that objective, was a triumphant policy success. And it looks to have saved not just countless businesses, but millions of jobs to boot. But we know that Rishi Sunak is genuinely troubled by the eye-watering amounts of borrowing that continue to happen on his watch. And it's rumoured that he's reluctant to see any more COVID measures inflicted upon the British people. Needless panic, in my view, over Omicron has already seen office parties and organised events cancelled, with the resulting economic damage and, of course, more pain for an already beleaguered hospitality sector who were desperately hoping to make some coin this Christmas. But I suspect that Sunak also worries that we've had almost 2 years of undiluted socialism. We've paid people to stay at home, we've crashed the economy, and we've borrowed billions. It sounds a lot like socialism to me. Boris might have forgotten he's a Conservative. Rishi Sunak, in the months to come, has an opportunity to prove that he still is. Now, there's no point banging on about money for the NHS, pay rises for public sector workers, infrastructure, police on the streets, education, overseas aid, all levelling up if there's no money coming in. For too long, the economy has been the whipping boy of this pandemic, needlessly assaulted for the pursuit of this unprecedented scientific experiment of lockdown, which in my view has failed dramatically and caused untold and lasting damage. So if you're going to save lives and get Britain back on a path to recovery, you're going to need a healthy economy, because it's the economy that pays for the health and well-being of the British people. Drunk on a diet of endless borrowing, politicians and Whitehall mandarins are hooked on spending someone else's money. But with the national debt now standing at over 2 trillion quid, accounting for over 100% of GDP, that money, other people's money, yours and mine, is running out. So we must grow to recover, and we've got to pay our bills from our income rather than endlessly extending the nation's overdraft and landing future generations with the bill. You know as well as I do that you cannot spend more than is coming in indefinitely. A country is ultimately no different to a household. One way to get the economy growing is to cut taxes. Because here's the thing, they are about to hit their highest level since the 1950s. You put money back in people's pockets and let them decide how to spend it. You give businesses the wiggle room with which to hire more staff and invest in their product. High taxes are a vicious circle, leading to more debt, weak growth, and diminishing financial returns. High taxes are a race to the bottom. Low taxes are a race to the top. They stimulate growth, encourage investment, and will be the key mechanism by which Britain recovers from the biggest recession in 300 years. As we emerge from the pandemic, anyone with any wisdom is an anti-taxer. We're all anti-taxers now, and let's hope Rishi Sunak is one of them. What our economy needs now is an injection of common sense. This is GB News.